Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dread Time Stories. I'm your host, Dr. Phobia, and tonight, our story comes from the world of creepypastas, more specifically, lost episode creepypastas. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's tale, The Black Friday Incident. The early stages of production on the film Toy Story were a complete nightmare. The production was in sort of a development hell until the infamous Black Friday incident. Disney harassed the then new animation studio Pixar constantly. They were to produce and release the film, and they wanted results as quickly as possible. Disney tried everything to eliminate Pixar's efforts to deviate from the Disney formula, even at times threatening to shut the production down. Disney sent notes on revisions that they thought would improve the film. They insisted through their notes, which all read, "Edge. The film needs more edge." The people working on the film at the time struggled so hard to maintain all of Disney's notes and demands. Once a week, they were required to fly across the country to Disney's offices to present them with progress. Every time, they were met with the same response: edge. The film needs more edge. Pixar revised the film so hard to meet the deadlines that it resulted in some rather interesting changes. In order to achieve edge, the film became quite darker. Woody became a wildly unlikable character, much more angry and far less comedic than in the final film. Bo Peep's role in the story was far more prevalent, often flirtatious towards the male characters, and is the first to accuse Woody of pushing Buzz out the window. Buzz Lightyear was referred to at this point in production as Lunar Larry, and is highly reminiscent of an older superhero, talking in a deeper voice and is much more deluded and arrogant of his surroundings. The other toys were relatively unchanged, save for a few aesthetic differences. Pixar employees would literally work 24/7 non-stop. Director John Lasseter joked on more than one occasion that he had the best parking spot at the office because his car hadn't moved in over 3 days. Some of the writers and the storyboard artists began to suffer from chronic insomnia. A few writers reported seeing versions of Buzz and Woody taunting them on their lack of progress, chanting, "Edge. The film needs more edge." Many of the initial writers quit due to the stress it was putting on their personal lives, much to the distress of the remaining crew. By November of '92, 2 of the 5 writers were left, and only 1 of the 3 storyboard artists. The remaining storyboard artist was named Ralph Thompson. He joined the Pixar team in the winter of 1987, working on short films such as Tin Toy and Knick Knack. He, at the same time, did some story work for The Nightmare Before Christmas with fellow artist Joel Randiff. Joe came down with a serious illness and had been to work in a week. Ralph constantly worked in fear of the inevitable correction by Disney. More edge. More edge. Each presentation meant another row of sleepless nights of rewriting and redrawing the same characters in the same bedroom over and over and over. It was maddening. One morning, John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, and the other higher-ups at Pixar came into the office and told everybody what happened at their last meeting. Disney felt that things were not looking very good for the film and demanded that in less than a week they see the completed film in story reels, storyboards with audio, with massive revisions. There was a general groan and whining from the crew, and they went back to work. Ralph worked harder than all the others involved. Sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, one of the writers would walk into Ralph's office with a newly packet of scenes, more to draw, and with more drawings meant more scratch voice work. When a film is still in the writing/storyboard stages, artists will temporarily do the voices for story reels. He had Disney's vague instructions racing through his mind. More edge, edgier, more. We want results, people, edgier. This is a business, faster, more edge. Move on already. He thought to himself this exactly. The film needed an edge. It needed to be darker, more cynical. It needed more adult humor in situations. It needed an attitude. Of course, Ralph, you idiot. How could you not see this sooner? Edge. All those hundreds of hours bent over a desk and all you needed was edge. Why didn't you listen sooner? He gave the film an edge. The story reels were flown over with the main crew to the head offices at Disney. The date was November 27th, 1992, Black Friday. The film was brought into the Disney screening room. The reel was about 48.5 minutes long. The movie started out as a Western-style shootout between Woody and Andy, resulting in Andy being shot down. It is revealed that this was just a game played inside of Andy's mind. The film continued on with little problems for about the first 20 minutes or so, though several of the gags seemed off with the overtone of the film. For example, Mr. Potato Head would pull out one of his eyes and kick them under Bo Peep's skirt for a look-see. There were several scenes of Woody yelling at the other toys to stop caring about Buzz, or Larry, and start paying attention to him, culminating in insults and minor acts of violence. The scene comes where Andy can only take one toy to Pizza Planet, and Woody pushes Buzz out the window. Woody offers to shake hands with Buzz, Larry, only to throw him out the window. There is a stock smashing noise. The other toys are shocked and scared for what Woody has done. Woody shows little remorse and screams at Slinky Dog to make the other toys stop harassing him. After much yelling, one of the Green Army men is heard saying the word, "Holy shit," and the toys grab Woody and toss him out the window as well. He falls to the ground with a low thump. Cheering is heard from the interior of the house. The quality on the storyboards becomes much less defined and almost like chicken scratch. Woody gets up and sees Buzz, Larry. Buzz's body shattered on impact. His arms and legs were broken off and located only a few inches away. There is a large crack down the middle of his chest, revealing a mess of buttons and wires inside. He gave off sort of an electrical twitch motion in his head. His eyes looked like they were ready to pop out of their plastic sockets. The twitching stops after a few moments, and Woody looks in fear at what he has done to Buzz and runs off. There is a jump cut to the scene where the two get stuck in the claw machine. The storyboard art is back to its normal level of quality. The machine is filled with sunglasses-wearing pizzas, as opposed to the aliens in the finished movie. Buzz is completely unharmed and intact. The scene is almost verbatim from the final film. Sid, the antagonist in control of the claw, is wearing a yellow t-shirt and smoking 3 cigarettes at once. The claw grabs Woody and Buzz, putting them into the clutches of Sid. There is another jump cut, once again returning to the chicken scratch style of artwork. The scene is inside of Sid's room. Woody looks around the room in fear. He tiptoes around the room and collapses after he sees one of Sid's mutant toys. The reel now shows unrelated test animation of the characters running. A few seconds of Buzz running in place, a few seconds of Woody running, and nearly a minute of the two running together. The footage is distorted and Spanish text is present on the screen. It looked like clay models that had got life. There is now a shot of Woody standing in front of a black background, and the trademark Pixar ball is rolling around in the distance. The animation is now in the traditional animation style of a typical 2D Disney film. Woody is completely naked with anatomically correct features and stares directly into the camera. His flesh begins to rot away with the exception of his eyes, which remain intact. Woody begins to moan in a low voice. What remains of his lips curl into a smile, bits of flesh peeling off as this happens. He lifts up his decomposing arm and manually waves into the camera. His fingers dig into his eyes. Dark blood oozes out of their sockets. Woody begins to scream and growl. Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you love it? He digs so deep as to rip the entire top of his head off. Woody gives a sigh of relief and begins eating the flesh off the top of his skull before tossing it aside. He writes the word edge on the screen with his rotting fingertips. The remaining 15 minutes of the reel were pencil scribbles accompanied by the shrill screams of a young woman. The word edge is burned into the projector screen. The screening ended in complete silence. Chairman of Disney at the time, Jeffrey Katzenberg, walked out of the screening room quietly telling his colleagues, notes, they were following all of the notes that we were giving them. Upon returning to the Pixar offices, writer Pete Docter found the body of Rolf Thompson in an enormous pile of paper in his office. Further analysis found that the death was a heart attack brought on by lack of sleep and stress. The papers were all storyboards and animation cells of the final scene of Woody, the word edge scrawled on the back of each one. After the screening of the Black Friday incident, Disney was far less involved with the film. Pixar was given the freedom to make the film their way, and it went on to be a huge success both critically and financially. The Black Friday incident, however, still remains very much a mystery. That was the Black Friday incident. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening. Like I always say in closing, check under your bed, look in your closet, and sleep with the light on. The life you save may very well be your own. Good night, everyone.